Hey there, Pages of Darkness fans. Sorry about the absence between stories. It's been a while. You ever get that feeling of deja vu? Well, today I'm going to read to you a story about a character that's going to go through just that. That story, of course, comes from the Pages of Darkness, this book we have all come to know and love, and I'm excited to read that story to you now after such a long absence. Thanks for sticking out with me, guys. And here we go. Let's try and stay on track together.
Warning, the following content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ever had that feeling of deja vu? Well, that feeling has been haunting me for so long. Or so it would seem. Hi, my name's Albert Harkness. I don't really know if anyone will read this, but boy do I have a story to tell. It starts about a day ago. I woke up gasping as I lifted my head off a rattling table, my breath catching in my throat as I stifled a scream, realising that the horrible train crash I had just experienced was nothing more than a dream.
Are you okay, sir?
A worried service attendant asked me, seeing what would have been a pale and sweaty complexion on my face. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I might just need a glass of water, thanks, I replied, wiping my face with a cloth. I turned and noticed my wife was not next to me, so I grabbed the attendant's attention before she left. Did you see where my wife went at all?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't see her.
She replied before leaving to get the water. I sat back trying to shake the unease creeping up my spine. The dream had been so vivid. The screeching metal, the screams, the sickening jolt of the impact. But it was just a dream, right? I glanced around the carriage. Everything seemed normal. Passengers chatting, reading, staring out the window at endless countryside rolling by. Yet something gnawed at me. A feeling like I had missed something important. The service attendant returned with the water. I took it with a nod, but before she left I pressed again. You sure you didn't see her? She was just here. She hesitated this time, brow furrowing slightly.
Sir, you were alone when I came by earlier?
My stomach twisted. That wasn't right. I knew my wife was here. I shot up from my seat, ignoring the strange looks from nearby passengers. Maybe she went to the restroom, I muttered to myself, stepping into the narrow aisle. But as I moved forward, I noticed something else. The passengers. Some of them were watching me. Not in the usual passing glance way, but with something behind their eyes. Recognition? No. Something else. Like they knew something I didn't. And then, from somewhere ahead in the train, a low, distant screech echoed. A sound I knew far too well. The sound of metal twisting. The sound of a train about to crash. The train shook a little, causing the lights to flash, and then kept on smoothly moving along. I took a deep breath. I moved down towards the next carriage and peered through the window between the carriages, and I thought I saw my wife walking into the following carriage. "Amanda!" I said, and then I opened the carriage door and felt the cold wind immediately hit my face with that cool evening air coming on. I bunched up my shirt around my collar and proceeded through the windy gap between the carriages and entered into the following one. Immediately, all eyes were on me as I entered what looked like to be the bar carriage. I looked around the carriage, and as if on cue, everyone went back to drinking.
Ah, Mr. Harkness, will it be the usual whiskey?
Asked the bartender as I made my way through. How do you know my usual? I asked, more fixated on the door that my wife just went through, but after that awful dream, I sure could use a drink.
It's my job to know the train clients. I am a bartender after all.
Fair point, Mr.
Terrence. Jim Terrence, sir.
The bartender said, pouring me a glass of whiskey on the rocks. Say, Jim, you haven't seen a 5'2" blonde with green eyes come through here, did you? I asked, and then downed the whiskey in one go.
I'm afraid I must have been busy at the time she'd come through here, Mr. Harkness.
Jim said, putting the bottle back. I set the glass down and exhaled, the burn of the whiskey settling in my chest. Something about the way Jim spoke made me uneasy. His voice was calm, almost too calm, like he was rehearsing some kind of script. I glanced around the bar carriage. The passengers were talking in hushed tones, sipping their drinks, but every now and then, I caught someone stealing a glance at me, just like when I first came in. I shook it off and turned towards the next carriage. "Alright, thanks anyway, Jim," I muttered, moving towards the door. But as I reached for the handle, the train lurched. Not enough to throw me off, but enough to make the lights flicker again. That same metallic screech echoed faintly through the train, and for a split second I felt it again. The impact, the terror, the weightlessness before everything went dark. I squeezed my eyes shut and steadied myself against the wall. Just a dream. It was just a dream. But then, in the reflection of the glass door, I saw something that sent ice down my spine. A figure standing at the far end of the bar carriage, staring right at me, dressed in a dark conductor's uniform, his face obscured by shadows, and then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, not even a sinister one, just knowing. And before I could turn around, the lights flickered again, and he was gone. "You know what, Jim? I think I'll take one more," I said, rubbing my temples and sitting back down.
Are you okay, Mr. Harkness? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Jim asked me. Yeah, I'm fine. Just how about that drink?" Jim poured me another and I drank it, just as fast as the first. "Wish me luck, Jim," I said, placing the glass on the bar and headed for the next carriage.
Good luck, Mr. Harkness,
I heard Jim say as I opened up the door. I stepped through the door and into the next carriage, my pulse pounding. The air felt different here, heavier. The low hum of the train's movement seemed muted, almost distant, like I had stepped into a place that wasn't entirely real. I scanned the rows of seats, no signs of Amanda. The passengers here were quieter, some staring out the windows, others lost in their own worlds. But as I walked down the aisle, I caught snippets of whispers. "He's looking again. I don't think he remembers." I turned sharply, but no one was looking at me. I clenched my fists, trying to steady my breath. Maybe I was just paranoid. Maybe I was still rattled from the dream. But then I heard it again, the screeching metal, louder this time, closer. And then...
Albert!
I spun around. Amanda! Standing at the far end of the carriage near the next door. Relief flooded through me, and I started toward her. "Amanda, where the hell have you been?" She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at me, her eyes wide. She whispered, and then almost too quiet to hear.
You have to make up.
The train lurched, the lights flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, Amanda was gone. I heard a loud bang, then a crunch in quick succession, and the train compressed as the far end of the carriage moved closer to me in seconds. Then... I lifted my head off a rattling train table, with a gasp, stifling a scream as the same attendant asked me.
Are you okay, sir?
I looked around a little confused. Yeah, I think I just need a glass of water. The attendant gave me the same concerned look before, nodding and walking away. I sat back, my hands trembling, the whiskey still burned in my throat, but that wasn't possible. I had just woken up. Hadn't I? I turned my head slowly, dreading what I might see. Amanda's seat was empty. A chill ran down my spine. I reached up, pressing my fingers to my temple. The crash. It had felt so real. The sound, the impact, the way the world just folded in on itself. And now I'm back here? I forced myself to take a deep breath. Maybe this was stress. Maybe it was just... The train shook again. The lights flickered. I shot up from my seat, heart pounding. I knew this. I remember this. My feet moved before my brain could catch up. I pushed into the next carriage, my eyes darting to the bar. Jim, he was already pouring a drink. Without looking up, he said,
The usual, Mr. Harkness?
I swallowed hard. My mouth was dry. Jim looked up, smiling, that same calm, practiced smile. But this time, I saw something behind his eyes. Something that hadn't been there before. Some sort of recognition. Like he knew me. Like he'd seen me do this before. And then, from somewhere deep within the train, that same metallic screech started again. I decided to ignore the bar. I didn't need alcohol right now. I needed to get to Amanda, so I pressed straight on to the next carriage. But this time it was different. It was a dining car for the train customers, and people were laughing and having a great time.
Hey Albert, come join me and my husband for dinner.
A woman's voice shot out from a table a few rows down. She was a red-haired woman, dyed, not natural, and she sat next to a man who I saw at the bar wearing a conductor's uniform. I approached the table and asked, "I'm sorry, do I know you?" The couple exchanged glances, then snickered.
Oh, please, Mr. Harkers. You are too much. Oh, please, take a seat.
I hesitated. My instincts screamed at me to keep moving, to find Amanda, but something about the way they looked at me just made my skin crawl. The conductor smiled, tapping the empty seat across from them.
Come on now, Albert. No need to be rude.
The way he said my name made my stomach twist. Slowly, I sat down. The woman leaned in, her eyes shining with amusement.
You really don't remember us, do you?
I stared at her, at the conductor. My mind raced. Had I met them before? Everything felt off, like I was walking through a dream that was just slightly out of sync with reality. I'm sorry, I don't think so. I don't think I've met you guys before, I admitted. The conductor chuckled.
Well, that's all right. You'll figure it out soon enough.
His voice was deep, steady, and carried an unsettling certainty. The woman grinned, resting her chin in her palm.
Tell me, Albert, have you ever heard the theory that time is linear?
I frowned. What?
Think about it.
She continued.
What if time was more like a circle or a spiral? What if we weren't moving forward, but just looping?
I stiffened. The train lurched. The lights flickered. I gripped the edge of the table as a terrible sense of deja vu slammed into me. The conductor tilted his head, watching me closely.
You have thought about it, haven't you?
I swallowed. I need to go. I pushed back my chair and stood, but before I could leave, the woman grabbed my wrist. Her fingers were ice cold.
Find Amanda.
She whispered.
Find her and forgive her before it happens again.
Then, that same metallic screech, and a split second later, impact. My head lifted off the rattling table and I gasped.
Are you okay, sir?
Asked the attendant. I stood up. Okay, someone is going to tell me what the hell is going on around here, I yelled in a panic.
Just relax, sir. Would you like some water?
She replied, looking strangely calm. I barged past her into the next carriage. There was Jim, polishing a glass.
Ah, Mr. Harkness. Will it be the usual?
Jim asked. What the hell is going on here, Jim? I demanded as I approached the bar. I grabbed Jim by the trim of his burgundy suit.
Well, I'm pouring drinks for our patrons, and you're disturbing them, it seems.
He replied. I looked around and all eyes were on me. I don't have time for this, I said, releasing him. I stormed out and entered the next carriage.
Albert, come join me for dinner.
The same red-haired woman called out, but this time she was alone. I approached the table and demanded, "If you know where Amanda is, tell me now." The red-haired woman smiled.
She's a good-looking woman, that Amanda, and perhaps if you didn't spend your time drinking, you would know where she is, or more importantly, who she's hanging out with.
I clenched my fists. What the hell is that supposed to mean? The woman smirked, swirling the wine in her glass.
Oh, Albert, always so quick to anger.
Then she leaned back in her chair, the expression unreadable.
You should hurry.
She said.
You're running out of time.
My blood ran cold. The train lurched. The lights flickered. I spun on my heel and shoved my way through the dining car, ignoring the murmurs and sideways glances. The next carriage. Amanda had to be there. I pushed through the door, bracing myself against the cold rush of air as I crossed the narrow gap. Then, I saw her. Amanda stood at the far end of the carriage, facing away from me. She was speaking to someone. A man. I took a step forward. Amanda! She didn't turn, but the man did. And when I saw his face, my stomach dropped. It was the conductor. But why? Standing there, smirking, whispering something into my wife's ear, making her giggle. I stumbled back, my breath caught in my throat. The train shook, the lights flickered, and in the distance, that same terrible metallic screech. I gasped once more as my head lifted from the rattling table.
Are you?
I put my hand up, silencing the attendant. I walked straight past her into the second carriage and heard Jim.
The usual, Mr. Harkness?
But I also ignored Jim. As I passed by the bar and pressed into the third carriage, I heard the lady with the red hair call out again.
Albert, come join me for dinner.
But I kept walking, hearing her call out again.
Albert! Albert!
But I continued on, eyes on the door ahead of me. I entered the fourth carriage, and it was different. This time it was the sleeping carriage. As I passed by some of the rooms, I started questioning my sanity. Some people were sleeping, while others were getting ready for bed, but all of their faces seemed to be looking at me through the small circular windows on the doors. Then as I passed by the last room, I saw a couple that were naked and holding on to each other. I was about to look away and respect their privacy, when I could have sworn, no, it couldn't be. There in the barely lit room was the conductor from the dining carriage holding my wife Amanda, both of them engaged in, well, I don't need to go into detail, but you get the idea. I felt my blood boil. The betrayal of my love was unfolding before my very eyes. The train screeched and jerked as I entered the room screaming, and then... I woke once more on the rattling table, sitting in the same familiar booth. I didn't gasp this time. I didn't panic. I just sat there staring at the table, letting the rattling hum of the train sink into my bones. I was trapped. The attendant approached, but I didn't even let her speak. I pushed past her, moving with purpose, through the bar, through the dining car, ignoring the calls of the red-haired woman. I needed to see it again, back through the sleeping carriage, past the leering faces behind the doors. I stopped in front of the last room. My stomach twisted. Amanda, the conductor, the betrayal, playing right out in front of me. But this time, I didn't react. I forced myself to watch, but I could only stand it for so long. I stumbled back from the window, my breath coming in short, ragged breaths. No, this can't be real. The train shook again, the lights flickering in and out. The screech of metal in the distance sent ice through my veins. I turned and I ran, through the carriages, past the faceless passengers who turned their heads in eerie unison as I passed. The people's whispers echoed from the dining car, but I didn't stop. I had to get off this train. I reached the end of the last carriage, but there was no exit. Just a door that led nowhere. Just a fast-moving ground beneath the train which would kill or at least horribly injure someone. The train lurched, nearly knocking me off my feet. I turned back, and the red-haired woman was standing right in front of me, blocking my way. Her smile was too wide, too knowing.
Now, Mr. Harkness,
She purred, tilting her head.
where do you think you're going?
You know that your husband is with my wife right now, I said to her, pacing back and forth.
He's always been a womanizer. You're always going to be an angry drunk until you can break this cycle.
She replied, placing her hand on my shoulder.
The train won't let you leave.
I was lost, confused, and angry. What do you mean the train won't let me leave? What the hell is all this? I demanded with so much frustration. Then the train lurched once more, screeching and lights flickering, when suddenly myself and the red-haired lady were thrown against the wall. I woke up yet again on the rattling table. This time, I went the other way before the attendant could even speak to me, straight to the back of the train. I opened the back door and I saw the track in the dim rear lights of the train flashing beneath my feet. Damn this train. I can leave when I damn well please, I said. Then after a few encouraging breaths, I jumped out. I bounced off the hard turf and then... I awoke staring at the table once more, and all I felt was anger and frustration.
Are you okay, sir?
The attendant said. I'm just bloody peachy, thanks, I said in a sarcastic tone.
Can I possibly get your water?
She asked nicely. You know what? I could use a pen and a notepad. Have you got one of those? I asked, desperate to write everything down that had happened so far. She pulled out a pen and a notepad that was tucked in her pocket.
You can keep that. I think you might need it more than me.
She said before walking away. I jotted down some notes about what had happened so far, the strange people on the train, and how I kept waking up to this very spot. I tucked the notebook into the booth between the cushions, making sure no one saw where I put it. I made my way to the second carriage and sat at the bar.
Ah, Mr. Harkness. The usual?
Yeah, Jim. You know what? No. Give me something stronger, please. Jim raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. He reached under the bar and pulled out a bottle of something dark, something that smelt like fire and regret.
This should do the trick,
He said, pouring a heavy glass. I downed it without hesitation, feeling the burn scrape down my throat. What's going on here, Jim? I asked, my voice lower, more controlled now. Jim wiped the counter, pausing it slightly just before answering.
You tell me, Mr. Harkness.
I slammed my fist on the bar. Don't give me that cryptic bartender nonsense. You know something. This isn't right. None of this is right. Jim sighed, placing both hands on the counter.
Tell me something, Mr. Harkness. Do you remember how you got on this train?
I opened my mouth and froze. The question should have been easy. A ticket? A station? A goodbye? Something? But there was nothing. Just the train and the crash. Over and over and over. Jim slid another drink towards me.
I think you're starting to get it.
I got up in an angry fashion and demanded the attention of the room with my voice. You! All of you are in on this. This. Whatever it is. And I want some damn answers now. The people around the room began whispering amongst themselves, and I pulled out my gun. You think I'm joking? I yelled.
Come on, Mr. Harkness. This is all a little too much,
Said Jim. We'll see what's a little too much, I said, backing my way towards the next carriage. I ignored everything, going past the dining carriage, entered the sleeping carriage. I stopped momentarily at the bedroom that held my wife and the conductor so I could stare through the window. My blood boiled, and I couldn't help myself. I barged into the room, pointing the gun at the conductor, but the lights flickered, and he disappeared as I shot. My wife, who was once standing naked, had now somehow moved, and now laid on the bed half covered in a red-soaked sheet with splattered bits of red in her hair. I stared, feeling no sadness or anger for a while, until I finally turned and exited, the weight of her death finally hitting me. "What did he do to you, Amanda?" I whispered as I shut the door and took a long breath. I made my way to the front of the train, to the conductor's room. I wasn't letting this guy get away with what he did to my wife, and to my marriage. I kicked open the door to the conductor's cabin, my gun raised, my breath heavy, but the room was empty. No conductor, no crew. Just an array of levers, dials, and a large red stain across the heart of it all. The controls moved on their own, the levers shifting, the wheel turning like ghostly hands were piloting this damn train. I stepped forward cautiously, my grip tightening on the gun. "Show yourself!" I demanded. The train lurched violently, nearly knocking me off my feet. The whistle screamed, the lights flickered, and for a brief moment in the reflection of the window, I saw him. The conductor, standing behind me, smiling. I spun around, but the room was empty once more. The whispers of the passengers echoed through the walls, the clinking of glasses from the bar carriage, the distant laughter from the dining car, and then a voice. Not from behind me, not from beside me, but from inside me.
You already know how this ends, Albert.
Suddenly all my memories came flooding back at once. Me and my wife boarding the train, then a memory of us meeting with the conductor and his wife, the conductor inviting us to dinner, me choosing to drink at the bar instead of spending that day with my wife. Then another memory of me walking out early on dinner due to a flirtatious comment from the conductor to my wife, and me drinking whiskey at the bar instead. Then I looked for Amanda to apologise for my behaviour, and found her with the conductor getting hot and heavy. I snapped back to the present. The conductor took his seat at the controls.
It's all coming back now. Isn't it, Albert?
When suddenly another load of memories hit me like a tidal wave. Me entering the sleeping carriage bedroom, gun raised, and shooting Amanda over and over as screams filled the carriage. Then I remembered the conductor running past me as I processed my actions, but then turned and ran after him. Visions plagued my mind. Then my memory changed again. I was walking towards the conductor's room. I wanted to get him for making me do this to Amanda. He was going to pay. I opened the door, and there he was, struggling to put pants on while I shot him. He fell back, landing on the control, causing the train to accelerate. I stood there, heart pounding. I didn't care when the train started shaking violently and the lights flickered. The train was going so fast now, but I still didn't care. I watched the conductor take his final breaths as the front carriage jumped off the rails and dug into the turf. I watched the conductor's dying face till I was suddenly launched into the controls head first. That's when I awoke on the rattling table, gasping and stifling a scream.
Are you okay, sir?
Asked the attendant. "Yeah, I'm okay. I think I just need a glass of water," I replied. I looked and saw the seat next to me was empty. "Excuse me, did you happen to see where my wife went?" asked the attendant.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
The attendant said before leaving to get the water. That's when I spotted the notebook tucked between the cushions, and I began to read the first few lines. "Hi, my name is Albert Harkness. I don't really know if anyone will read this, but boy, do I have a story to tell. It starts about a day ago. Hope you guys listen to every single word, because I don't want to have to repeat that story again. A special thanks to those who pitched in and helped make the story, to help make this channel possible. A big shout out, and I apologize again for such a delay between stories, and many thanks again to our fans who keep listening in. I hope to keep producing these as often as I possibly can, but I cannot make that promise in the future. And I have many stories to come, so there's no fears there. Lots of them already ready in the bank. I look forward to seeing you guys again on the next one. Stay tuned. This has been the Pages of Darkness.